This is the Nathan, Nat and Shaun podcast.
G'day, Shaun McManus here. On February 24, I'm doing my first ever solo swim in this year's Rotto swim. It's a 19.7k open water swim from Cop Beach to Rottnest Island. That's, of course, if you go on a straight line. This is my road to Rottnest. Well, it's only a couple of days away from the Rotto swim, and I thought I'd bring in an absolute guru of doing the channel swim himself, Dean Kerns, who's done this swim. He's coming up to his 22nd time. How you going, Dean?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good. I wanted to speak to you about this. I know that you've done this a lot of times, but it wasn't until I saw you at the Rotto pub when you'd swum over in early December. Before we get into the amount of times you've done and why you've done it, just randomly, you can swim over to Rottnest?
No. I've definitely got to train. I train a lot. I don't think it's that easy. And I only really got into open water swimming in 2014, 2015. That's when I started, which was after a pretty serious accident I had. So after that accident, I kind of got told maybe you should try swimming because I'd got a sore lower back from the accident. And then I kind of, almost had a little bit of a Forrest Gump moment since then, just kept going with it and having a crack.
Yeah, you've certainly done that. All right, let's talk about the accident which got you into swimming. For me, being able to do this is really just kind of testing myself. I haven't done anything of note physically and mentally in a long time since I stopped playing footy. So you had an accident that prompted you to get going. So what happened?
So I got 4 kids.
Yep.
I was mucking around with my twin boys at the time who were 2. I was just laying on the floor. The boys were jumping up on the couch onto me. One of them, fortunately, I don't know. They're identical twin boys, so I don't know actually which one did it. But one of them jumped onto me and jumped into my stomach and actually perforated my bowel. I thought something had happened, but I actually had drifted off to a mate's house to have a beer. I got an inch into the beer and said, "Fuck, something's not right."
Yeah.
Collapsed out the front of his house. Got rushed to hospital. They thought it was my appendix, put me into a CAT scan, and then they literally grabbed my ankles and ripped me out of there because they'd realised that my bowel had perforated.
Whoa.
Obviously, shit was going everywhere. Septicemia, my body was shutting down. I was pretty close to death. And 14 hours later, they cut me open, ripped all my insides out, cleaned the skeletal bowl, repaired the bowel, put it all back together, zipped me up, and that's it. Yeah, spent a bit of time in hospital. Got out of there, and a mate of mine's a chiro and said, "Mate, try swimming. Could be good for your lower back," because I'd obviously lost my core.
Yeah.
Got into swimming, and that's where it's kind of gone from there.
Just going back to when they grabbed you by your feet and they ripped you out of the CAT scan, how conscious were you at that time, and did you panic?
I didn't panic because I was just in a lot of pain, so I knew something wasn't right anyway before that. But I kind of knew something wasn't really right because they were running down the halls at Charlie's, and the nurses and the doctors, I can't thank them enough. They were just phenomenal. The bowel surgeon, senior bowel surgeon in WA, he actually got on a plane. He was in Geraldton at the time. He flew down into Perth. They had me measured up to have a bag for the rest of my life, but he managed to fix all that, and I'm good to go.
Unbelievable. So how long were you in hospital?
About a month.
Yep.
Should have been a little bit less. That's actually a funny story. So once I started to get my shit together and I was kind of feeling good about myself and walking, the final stage was actually just to go to the toilet, function properly, and then you're out.
Yep.
So I went to the toilet one morning. A good mate of mine actually came up and gave me a nice coffee. I don't drink coffee, so that kind of got shit moving, literally. And went to the toilet, did it, was really stoked with myself, flushed the toilet, went back to the bed, rang the nurse and said, "I'm ready to go. I've done a poo." And she said, "Okay, let me come and have a look." And I'm like, "Oh, no."
You flushed it.
I flushed it. So I think she trusted me but didn't believe me at the same time. So I had to wait another 4 days before I went again. And then I got out.
Just in the operations that I've had over the journey, which was normally one a season at least, they don't ever let you out until you have a wee or whatever. And they'd always used to threaten me with having a catheter put in. And I would always think, I do not want that pipe going in the eye of my cock. There's no way.
The panic got you.
Yeah. And so I used to just keep pressing the button, calling in as much water as I could to be able to make sure that I was able to go. So, that's a horrible feeling. So when you got out of and you got going and swimming, did you set yourself a goal of doing a big swim, or How did it
Duo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
did a duo, and then the mate that I did the great mate that I did the duo with, we set ourselves to do a solo the following year. Did that solo, we both succeeded, and then I decided that I just wanted to go further with it. But I felt like, because it was pretty tough doing it by yourself,
Yep.
and you'd know doing it in a squad's just sensational. So got into a squad, and then just the energy from the squad and all the people around you and all the crazy shit that they're doing, you just get absorbed by it and sucked in, and you just, it all leads from there.
For everybody who's listening at the moment, the Positive Swim squad, which we swim in, and I'm certainly nowhere near you. So I'm right down in the lanes where the plebs are. You're in the top lane. But did you start being an average swimmer? I think you said to me at the Rotto pub, I'm not a good swimmer.
I'm still not a good swimmer.
You can't.
No,
How?
I think what I am good at is having a will to not fail.
Yeah.
So I'm not a great swimmer, but I set myself a goal, and I make sure that I always achieve it. But when you refer to lane 10 as the plebs, I don't see it like that. Like it's amazing when you do these swims and you're at the pub and you're probably pretty proud of yourself and you're having a beer and you're still hearing people coming in, especially the guys or girls that are coming in at 10 and a half, 11 hours. Mate, they're the true champions, I reckon, of those crossings, and they probably don't get recognised enough. I know you don't want to be calling the last person in, but I think we definitely should acknowledge the people that get across the line first. But those people that come in last or second last and are out there for 10, 11 hours, mate, they're fighting some demons and going through some shit, and they need to be acknowledged equally, if not more, than those people that get there in 4 hours, because it's sensational what they're doing out there.
Yeah, I mean, you make a really good point. One of those points that you made at the pub when I asked you about you swimming all the time over there, you said, I just don't quit. So when you first started doing it and did your first solo, what happens when you get into that? There must be a grey part where you think, oh, here we go.
100%. Every solo there is a bit where you're just like, fuck this, or you just go through a bit of a dark patch. But I just break it down. I break it down into feeds, and I kind of personally just get a little bit technical with it. I kind of ask for, how far I'm away from Rotto, and I kind of just spend the next 30 minutes doing a bit of maths in my head and how I'm performing. Not that I'm really worried about time, but it just gives me something to think about. And then, you just break it down, and then all of a sudden you're there. And it's a pretty good feeling. Yeah,
no doubt about it.
The Nathan, Nat and Shaun podcast.
You've done some amazing swims over the journey. So you swam to Rottnest and then back during the winter?
Yep.
Why?
Well, yeah, kind of because I was told to. But it was in training for the Catalina swim. So the Catalina Island to Los Angeles swim. A legend of cold water swimming, Adam O'Byrne, who lives in New Zealand now. He's an absolute superstar. So him and I were booked for Catalina 2 days apart. So we decided to do a double crossing as some training because it was the Yanks were telling us, it's really cold over here. You need to prepare yourself, blah, blah, blah. So we thought, why not do a double crossing to Rotto? Gets us in the water for 10, 11, 12 hours. It's cold. We just wore Speedos, left in the dark. I arrived just as the sun was going down. Adam was a little bit behind me. But his swim, going back to what we were saying before, was like far superior than mine. Like he was 3K out and started fighting some demons and going through a lot of stuff, wanted to get in the boat. And his crew just got him through the next 3K. And I think that reiterates how important it is a good crew around you. You're nothing without them.
Yeah.
Good paddler, good skipper, good feeders, all that. If you don't have them, we're nothing. So whilst it looks like a solo sport, it's really a team effort.
The Catalina swim, how many Ks is that to Los Angeles?
34.
34. Gee.
Cool swim too.
Is it?
Yeah.
Cool swim.
Yeah, it is. So you leave from Shark Cove because that area is the greatest great white shark colony in the world around that San Francisco area. So you leave from Shark Cove past this massive white rock, which is Great White Rock. You leave at 11 o'clock at night, so you're in the dark. So there's a heap of things about that swim that just make it really interesting.
From that point of view, how do you stay focused and not think about the big sharks getting around or the big fish getting around? Because that's a thing that's been, it's only just come on my mind recently because now it's getting close to the swim.
Yeah, from a Rotto swim and port to pub swim, when
Yep.
there's just so many boats and people in the water, I think the chances are very, very minimal. There's just too much activity in the water for a shark to even be wanting to go through that area. Plus, I have seen the bottom of that ground a fair bit, and there's nothing there. It's shit ground. Nobody really fishes through there apart from some whiting and stuff. So sharks don't really need to be there unless they're passing through. So I don't think you should ever be fearful of sharks in that region, especially this time of year. But in the Catalina swim, was it in the back of my mind? Yeah. But once again, you just start thinking about other things and take it away.
We're gearing up to this one, which is only a couple of sleeps away. And again, apart from the sharks, one of the thoughts was, about the weather. Because obviously in Perth this year, it's been 40 degrees every second day. It's been perfect conditions, easterlies, flat as all get up. And at this point in time, there's a bit of a blimp on the radar for Saturday where it's supposed to be southwesterly at this point, a bit of a swell happening. And I know things can change. So you have a bit of a look at the weather?
I do, yeah. I love looking at the weather, mainly because I love fishing, I love boating, I love being on the water, so I'm always looking at the weather. It's a really tricky situation, this one, because it'll continue to change all the way up till Friday night.
Yeah.
So I think people have just got to stay focused on what they're doing and then wait for that text at 4 a.m. on Saturday morning if we're going or not. I know it's hard to take it out of your mind, but just try to take it out of your mind. What's happening at the moment, we've got a cyclone coming down from the northwest, which is drawing that low-pressure system up from the south, which is in turn bringing southerly winds around anti-clockwise around the cyclone, and then it's drawing that wind back down into central Australia and then out to Perth. So depending on where that cyclone is depending on the winds that we'll get in that channel for the day. That cyclone's tracking a little bit different to what it was 2 days ago. It was going to hit Karratha, now it's out of Karratha. Was going to go over Exmouth. Now it's kind of looks like it's going to hit Carnarvon. So it'll be a tough swim, my gut says, because of the weather the 2 days before.
Yeah.
But I think there's still a good chance of actually swimming.
Yeah, okay. And one of the things about getting over to Rotto is getting to the pub and having a good old time. Now, you would have done that 100 times over because that's the main thing. But
good pub.
Everyone keeps saying to me, why don't you just catch the ferry? But there's no story to tell, is there?
No story to tell. No, and I think that's kind of what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
Just and that's probably why I love the port to pub swim.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, the Rottnest Channel swim is an amazing swim, but there's a sense it's such a big event now that the pub's probably full of 70% of people that don't swim.
Yeah, that's true.
Whereas the port to pub, you feel like you're in there and everyone's burnt, everyone's got zinc on their face, everyone's got a number on their arm, and it's a really great feeling, that event. Not the Rottnest, don't get me wrong, the Rottnest swim is sensational, especially the start. It's probably the greatest start. It's just, I've got goosebumps thinking about it. But, I think, and those stories are good. You're with like-minded people. Though funny enough, my favourite swims probably have been the port to pub team of 6.
Yeah.
With my 2 eldest girls and their 4 of their great mates. That was just sensational. But the whole lead up to it, trying to get these teenagers out of bed, screaming and yelling and hating each other, but them just learning the process of hard work will actually lead to something. And they had a little bit of banter about, if it gets shit, Dad'll finish it for us. But I was like, no chance. It's 20K. We're dividing that by 6, and that's what we're doing. And they had a ripper time, and I probably had the best time out of all of them this weekend.
Yeah, there's one things that I was hoping to do out of doing this 20K was to, have my kids being involved. But one just told me the other night, he's got an 18th down in Dunsborough, so he might be heading there. And the oldest, the oldest is gone to Tokyo skiing. And then my youngest daughter and my youngest son, they'll probably just be over Rotto anyway. So they actually don't get to see I want them to see the process, because it's not just turn up and then someone says, you're going to take 6 hours, 8 hours, and you're there, and then that's it. Let's have a beer. It's nothing. It's nothing like that.
Totally, and it's a really great point. And funny you should say that. So my eldest 2 daughters, they had never been on the boat for me for a crossing, but they recently, late last year, went with me to Manhattan to swim around Manhattan Island, and getting 2 teenager girls to New York is a no-brainer, right?
Yeah, that's
a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But I did have in the back of my mind, how are they going to approach the swim? are they going to want to watch their elderly fat dad in Speedos for half a day just swimming, which is not very exciting. But, mate, they embraced it. They loved it. Alani and Matilda were just fucking sensational, to be honest. It warmed my heart. They yelled, they screamed, they fed me. And probably, like the team of six, was probably one of my absolute favourite swims just because the girls were there. And they embraced it wholeheartedly. And it wasn't fake, it was genuine, and we had a fabulous trip after.
The record for swimming solos to Rottnest, I think, stands at about 38. Is that right?
I think so, yeah. I've never met Andrew Page, but it would be Andrew Page, and pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Is there something that you have a goal on doing, or you just want to keep doing it as long as you can?
Yeah. No, I've definitely got no targets, but I'll just keep doing them. And then I may wake up one morning and say, no, that's it. But I ruptured my Achilles playing AFL 9s a couple of years ago, so I was always a shit runner, but running's out now. So kind of swimming's all I've got from a health and a mental health perspective, because I think it's important to be active. So I can probably see myself doing it for a lot longer.
Yeah, I always wonder if this is going to be just the beginning of something, and hopefully it is, Kernsy. But thanks, mate. I really appreciate your time. Looking forward to Saturday. I'm nervous as all get up, but we've done the work, everyone keeps saying. Shout out to Big Marcus, the
Brutus.
The Brutus, because he said, mate, you've done the work. You've done the work. We've all done it. So
yeah, and I think you can start at the start line, or be at the start line, and know that you've probably done a lot more than a lot of those other solos. You've definitely done the time. You're ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just enjoy it. Enjoy it. Have a bit of banter at each feed.
Everyone keeps saying enjoy it, and you're thinking, I'm going to have my ass hanging out the whole way.
I look at it like, you could be out there for 6, 7, 8 hours, and it's all weather dependent. I'd much rather be doing that with a few mates, knowing that when I get to the end, I'm going to have a couple of cracking beers with them, instead of painting a house for 8 hours. That'd be fucking horrendous for me. Yeah. So, I think we're pretty lucky to have the opportunity to do it.
No doubt about it, mate. Good on you, Kernsy. Good luck this weekend too.
Cheers, mate. Thanks for having me.
Nathan, Nat and Shaun is a Nova podcast. For more great comedy shows like this, head to novapodcasts.com.au. Nova.